It crept on me pretty fast. Hello, everybody. All right. So, anyways, we're gonna wait a few minutes, give people a chance to come in. Hope everybody's doing well today. Let's see. Yeah. So, I'm gonna go off camera for a quick moment to take care of a couple of things. I'll be right back, and then when I come back, we'll go over what's on tap for tonight. Oh, wait. So, what am I doing? I want to probably turn on the music first, so we're not doing a whole lot of dead air here. Alrighty then. So, as I said, we're just gonna wait a few more minutes. As always, guys, as you see on the bottom there in the banner, if you guys can, if you guys can like and share the stream, um, so we can see about, so we can see if we can get some more friendly people in here. Also, if anything grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, anyways, waiting a few minutes to give people a chance to come in. Alrighty then. So, with all that being said, alrighty. So here, let's see. We're just past the 3 minute mark here. So here's what's on tap for tonight. Tonight, of course, we're going to be going over the Indie Comic Showcase from Bleeding Fool from Chris Braley. Looking over the article, give some commentary on it. Helping to promote what we can here. Also, of course, don't forget we'll have the wrestling wrap up, which will get caught up on all the latest news in professional wrestling from WWE, AEW, and Impact. Of course, Impact Wrestling is on tonight. Talk a little bit about that, and then from there, of course, finish up with this day in each history. And with all that being said, we're just after 4 minutes here, so why don't we just go ahead and get ourselves started then? Hopefully, people will show up soon. Right there. Alrighty then. There we go with that. Alright, so here I guess are some of the latest news items from the Indie Comic Showcase from Chris Braley. So let's go ahead and start on this then. Indie Comic Showcase number 224 and Bolt, Shadow of a Gun, and Raid of the White Leopard. As y'all know, RJ did a feature as well on Raid of the White Leopard, both on his site and of course on his show on Monday. So, anyways, Chris Braley article by Chris Braley published yesterday. So here's Indie Comic Showcase. So, anyways, welcome back to another installment of the Indie Comic Showcase, the weekly blog where we signal boost a few truly independent comics that are currently crowdfunding their projects, crowdsourcing their funding in some way, or just completely self-publishing on their own. Every little bit of support for these creators matters, from a single dollar pledge to the $25 bundle, and of course, the higher tiers are usually fun too. Even if you can't back a campaign or buy a book, you can share or tweet about these projects to your friends and followers. It's always a good thing to do. I mean, at least help get the word out. Um, every little bit helps, right? On Indie Comic Showcase, we interview the creators, show off some art, and tell you how you can check out the product for yourself. Kind of like what RJ does. Below, we have some outstanding crowdfunding campaigns this week for you to learn about, enjoy, and hopefully support by backing one or more of them. Thanks for checking these out and for being the best part of Indie Comic Showcase. Let's jump in. Raid of the White Leopard by Edwin Acevedo. And RJ also interviewed him this past week as well. So let's take a look at this. So Chris Braley, welcome back to Indie Comics Showcase. Edwin, tell me about your latest comic. Edwin Acevedo. Raid of the White Leopard is a story of a band of Vikings who get caught up in a massive storm and wash up on a strange, mysterious island. Chris, so tell me where the idea for this comic came from. Edwin, the story was originally a short story I pitched to Ultima Comics, which they published it came out on a Wednesday, number 18, which came out last year. I decided to continue the story as part of a 3-book arc. Book 1 sets up the characters and world, which is more than it seems. Here's some art. Here's some of the artwork right here from it. Black and white. Chris, who is this book aimed at? Edwin, the age range would be teens and up. The book does have a lot of violence and blood in it. Yeah, I kind of like, I mean, this is very clear cut. This is one of the things I like about when I'm reading these. I like to hear Chris asking, well, who is this book? Because we often see that question being asked in a negative way, usually by Ethan, when we're talking about one of the mainstream comic creators. You just scratch your head when you ask, well, who's this comic made for? We saw the other day with the whole Whoopi Goldberg and her self-insert. Yeah, so. Chris, you've been cranking out a lot of material lately. Can you tell me how long you've been doing comics? Edwin, I've been writing comics for the past 4 years and have put out 3 projects so far. The Ace Volume 1 and 2, along with Bloodbone. And again, a lot of the art here is black and white art. It's kind of I think the black and white art works for this particular type of book. It's got that more gritty feeling to it, as it were. Talk about your creative team that contributed to this project. Edwin, my team consists of artist Avery Butterworth, letterer ESK, cover artist Donal DeLay, and cover colorist Alan Alonso. All great talents. I guess some of the more black and white artistry here. Chris, what's the status of the book? Is it ready? Can you tell me what you've learned from your previous project? Edwin, the book is complete. Right now, I'm working on the print file ready. I've learned so much from each project, which has helped me try to make each campaign better and prepare for any curveballs, um, which which are many in crowdfunding. Some people would argue that crowdfunding can be a very unpredictable aspect of this, especially when the issues have come up with sites like Indiegogo and Kickstarter, censorship and all that. Which is why we always that's why we plug, of course, Fund My Comics, an alternative to that. What is next on your production calendar? Edwin, my next book is The Ace, Volume 3, which will be launched in September. Then Bloodbone number 1 early next year, and that I hope to do Raid Book 2 later next year, which will continue the story where Book 1 leaves out. So I'm guessing he says Raid Book 2, kind of, of course, the book he's currently doing here, Raid of the White Leopard. So, okay. Some more of the black and white artistry here. Thanks for sharing this with me, Edwin. Any last comments before we conclude this interview? Edwin, this book, if full, okay, I think he meant to say is, I guess that was a typo, is full of mystery, action, and surprises. It also has incredible art, which, in my opinion, that's what IMO stands for those of you who don't know, in my opinion, is worth the price alone. I hope readers check it out and decide to support it so me and Avery can continue telling this epic story. And of course, it's in black and white, much like a lot of mangas. So interesting take here. All right, so let's see if anybody's come in yet. Nope, doesn't look like it, but hopefully people will be coming in soon. Turn the radio up for that sweet sound. Hold me close till the let down low. Anyways, Shadow of a Gun by T. Perrin Mitchell. Shadow of a Gun. Wow, let's see what this one's about. From Gallagher. Chris Braley. Welcome to Indie Comics Showcase, T. Perrin. Hit me with the, in smaller quotes, elevator pitch for Shadow of a Gun. TPM. Or T. Perrin, I guess. Yeah, that's his name. T. Perrin Mitchell. One of these guys has got 3 names, right? uh, T. Perrin here. Shadow of a Gun tells a true story when two of my roommates and I were held up at gunpoint while in college. The graphic novel set in the year 2000 follows us from moment of the crime through the end of our time in court. It explores the psychological effects being mugged had on me and the rest of the house. Hmm. So kind of a autobiographical sketch here would appear. Usually, a title like "Shadow of a Gun" usually implies something of a more Western feel, but this is kind of taking it in another direction here. Very interesting here. Chris, what made you decide to self-publish? T. Perrin. For the past 20 years, I wanted to tell my story, to talk about my journey through this trauma and how much therapy helped me. I had finished up an anthology comic and was looking for a more personal story to tell. The time um, I start with the characters, trying to get to know them. For this book, that was the easy part. Yeah, since he's making this kind of about since they're making this about themselves. Um, so, as I said, kind of an autobiographical sketch here. After I know how everyone acts and thinks, I move on to a story beat outline. From there, I build the script, focusing on the action and emotions of the characters. I give the artist how many panels um, I think there should be, and what happens in each one, which they are free to change however they feel best fits the story. So from the looks of it here, you got a guy and two girls. I don't. I'm just and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm assuming that the guy here is Steve Perrin. Um, again, could be wrong, but might be the girl there. But again, I don't. I wouldn't know too much. So, what kind of comic readers is this comic best suited for? Chris asked. T. Perrin. Shadow of a Gun is suited for young adults and older. It is aimed at those who enjoy true crime, autobiographies, and personal stories. I teamed with Monica Gallagher, who is providing the art. She is a perfect artist for the story. Her art is amazingly emotive. You can see complex emotions on her character's face. Her style works for every genre. I knew my story would be in good hands with Monica. Chris, what's your production workflow with Monica like? And if it's not complete, how far along is the book? T. Perrin. The script has been written and is in Monica's hands. We did a call to incorporate her ideas, which were all great, in parentheses there. She'll give me a rough layout, then rough pencils. I can start lettering against. I can start lettering against. We have finished enough to give backers an idea of what it will look like. Once the Kickstarter has funded, we'll continue with the rest of the book. Meet Cynthia. The seventh floor, sixth floor. Well, if these pictures here are any indication, I'm guessing that T. Perrin then is a guy, actually. Okay. Again, I could be wrong. They're not seeming to indicate here. Again, more curious than anything else. Not saying anything good or bad about it. Just what is. Just checking them there. All right. Chris, what have you been learning from crowdfunding this process, and do you have more stories to tell? T. Perrin. I worked with the musician and crowdfunding consultant Laser the Boy on this project. From him, I learned so much about building an audience and getting them to engage with you as a creator. I also learned to write a press release. I have three ideas competing to be my next project. Um, I just need to pick which one to tackle first. Those ideas are issue 3 of the Chronicles of Tal Nor, a second issue of my short story anthology, or a sci-fi graphic novel that's been maintaining or marinating in the back of my mind. Interesting interesting viewpoint here from behind. uh, very cool, Chris. Very cool. Are there any special features on your crowdfunding page you'd like to mention? T. Perrin. I'm offering a print by Cat L. Amsel as an add-on. All of my past books, including for the first time in print, Short Trips #1. For people who don't want any physical rewards, I'll write a 200-word flash fiction story for you based off 3 words prompt from that backer. For the highest level reward, I'm offering a virtual comic making class Q&A. That's cool. Any last words before we sign off? Ask Chris. T. Parent. It has been really therapeutic to write about these events. I hope that readers will see how helpful mental health care was for me and consider it for themselves if the need arises. I also hope that anyone who has gone through something similar can feel less alone after reading this book. Chris, thanks again for sharing this with us. End bolt. All right, so now we're going to move on to the next part of the article here. End bolt. See how far along we are on the time here. 23 minutes, so we're making relatively good time here, I guess. Huh. End bolt by James Ryan Demery. Enter the super crazy weird world of Bolt. All right. Chris Braley. Thanks for sharing Enbolt with us today, James. What can you tell us about your self-published comic? Got an elevator pitch? James Demery. Quote, did you ever mess with something you shouldn't have? From a place you really should not have been? Unquote. Nicky Lightning is a teenage boy living in a place called a youth lodge in a town called Williamsburg. Youth lodge. I wonder if that's like some kind of like youth camp or like, you know, um, summer camp or something like that. I wonder, or survival camp. You get what I'm going with it. I think a wild excursion leaves him with energy-based abilities, to which he has little use for. And based on, of course, the looks of it, you get the impression, the inspiration probably came from characters like Black Lightning, Static, you know, Juice from Justice League Unlimited. Let's see. That changes when mysterious robots called Phobos appear. Using the transporter beneath the city, Nicky and his friends, Annika Bear, Buddy Crawfish, and Rocky Antio transport anywhere to discreetly deal with this threat. They also receive a side gig recovering lost technologies of grumpy, rich Walden Chambers' defunct company, Mistech, in exchange for his assistance. Follow and Bolt on his in smaller quotes super crazy and kind of weird adventures. Unquote. Talk about an elevator pitch. That was quite an elevator pitch, wasn't it? Here's some of the interesting color scheme here for the artwork here. And then Chris, what inspired you to create this book? James, I've been a fan of cartoons all my life. Something he and I have in common. Um, but there was a strange appeal about the Saturday morning action cartoons I would watch. Kids with powers fighting evil. The art style is largely inspired by anime, but I've had the idea for a number of these characters since I was in grade school. Yeah, haven't we all? Haven't we all? I think we've all kind of sputtered about in our heads with that kind of stuff, right? Um, See, as I matured, these characters and the story with them changed dramatically while I was being exposed to new media and new people. After graduating college, I went through several job interviews but could not land a suitable job. Then one day, I decided to take a chance with the resources I had and wound up making my first salary. Mhm. Interesting stuff here. You do kind of get the feel of a cartoony feel from the artwork. That is pretty obvious there. Um, yeah. So, Chris, what can you tell me about your creative style? James, my drawing process is anime inspired, but it reads like an American comic book. I start out by writing a script or detailed outline of the story before sketching it by hand. Then I scan it into the computer and color it digitally, which is the longest process. Finally, I put the entire story together and export it as a PDF, upload to Gumroad, and it's ready for sale. So Gumroad, I guess, is an app I guess they use for this kind of stuff. Again, you look at the art here and you do kind of get the impression it's kind of cartoony, which is cool. It kind of looks pretty cool there. Chris asks, "How is it going so far?" James, the process is not always fun, and sometimes it does feel like hard work, despite lack of pay. Um, Marketing the book is a more difficult task, as fun as finding an audience required, reaching out to others, even spending money, and even that does not guarantee success. Hmm. This guy really had to go through a lot of rigmarole. Huh? Let's see. Do you have plans beyond this book? Chris asked. James, the stories on Gumroad are only the first in a long series I'm planning. I have many more stories to tell involving these characters, and I think that may take a long time. On another note, I have been approached by writers online for collaboration, and I am looking forward to help bring those stories to life. And then Chris, well, good luck with that, James. Yeah, sounds like he's wow. This is one of the few independent comic creators that I've heard of who's actually. Granted, I know they're like some of the more well known, like Ethan Van Sciver and and like Gabe Eltave and all that. Those guys, a lot of their series, they do plan more on having making them more longer running. But it's one of the few smaller independent creators I've heard who's actually planning like more of a series of books. Um, I do know of another one, Rick Piper of Cross Comics, with his I think with his Canadian Shield and Snowdrift books, planning on making those as regular series as well. So anyways, so that's it for this installment. If you're a creator ramping up your own campaign or have a comic available for purchase online and you want to be featured in our weekly column, click here. And follow Indie Comic Showcase on Twitter at Indie Comics. And reach out to them for more eyes on your crowdfunding comic project. Until next time, support indie comics. Alrighty then. So, I feel a bad moon rising. I feel trouble on the way. And again, if you guys can like and share the stream, see everyone can get some more friendly people on board, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here we talk about grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the question the best of my ability. So let's see, we're just past 33. We're at 33 minutes now. So that was the only article I was doing for tonight, of course, because usually those take a good chunk of the show. So we'll get into some wrestling news here. So on the WWE side of things, not a whole lot going on. One of the big pieces of news that was coming out was they were talking about Brock is on the verge of breaking a record. I don't remember. Okay, I don't remember what that record is off the top of my head, but that's you didn't pay attention close enough to that news. But also, apparently, on this past Monday night, Raw, they were on this past Monday night's Raw, they were piping in crowd noise. Apparently, the crowd wasn't as hot as they were hoping. So to try to present it as more of a happening, they piping in crowd noise. Now, last night's Dynamite saw, of course, 2 title matches and a steel cage match. 5 matches televised in total. They're really trying to start amping things up as they head towards Double or Nothing at the end of the month in Las Vegas. So the results from last night, of course, in a double Jeopardy match, which is a match between two. So Claudio Castagnoli took on Ray Phoenix. with essentially the winner getting a guaranteed title shot at some later date at the other's title. Claudio Castagnoli is currently the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion. Ray Fenix is one half of the World Tag Team Championship. So basically, it means that if Claudio had won the match, he and a partner of his choosing would get a shot at the Lucha Brothers for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship. If Ray Fenix had won, he would have a guaranteed title shot at Claudio Castagnoli. As it turned out, Claudio won, pinning Ray Fenix after hitting him with his version of the straight jacket powerbomb called the Ricola Bomb. The Orange Cassidy successfully defended the international title over Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia looked pretty good in this match. Granted, he's playing as part of the Jericho Appreciation Society. He's playing up the whole sports entertainer gig. Oh, I'm a sports entertainer. I'm not a pro wrestler. But whether he wants to call himself a sports entertainer or a pro wrestler, Daniel Garcia's got the goods. He's a very technically sound individual in the ring. He's already proven to be a champion caliber athlete, as he's held, of course, the Ring of Honor Pure Championship, and I believe he's also currently the current Pro Wrestling Guerrilla Heavyweight Champion in California here. But with that being said, Orange Cassidy was still able to beat him and retain the title. In a no-holds-barred match, Julia Hart of the House of Black defeated Anna Jas of the Jericho Appreciation in a no-holds-barred match. This this one got real nasty. They really, there's a possibility Julia may have even hurt her hip in the match. They were really going all out, these two, and turned out to be a pretty solid match. Anna Jas was trying to get revenge on her former best friend for basically spraying mist in her eye. Whether or not this continues to feed into a greater feud between the Jericho Appreciation Society and House of Black, well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Speaking of House of Black, the other three members of House of Black, Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews, retained the World Trios title in what they called an open house match, in which the House of Black got to choose the rules. Let's see. They defended the titles and retained against Bandito and team of best friends of Trent Beretta and Chuck Taylor. And then in the main event for the night, Jon Moxley defeated Kenny Omega, as this turned out to be another very violent, very brutal match. And the end came as Omega was getting the pin on Moxley. Don Callis turned on Omega, a man who for the last few years had been a very close confidant. Some people would argue a father figure for Kenny Omega. Don Callis had turned his back on Omega. Now of course they didn't really say why, but Manga Movies. Hey, Manga Movies. Thanks for dropping in. If you can, of course, you can like and share. Strange here we get some more friendly people in here. That'd be appreciated. Also, again, if anything I talk about grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions as we continue on here. Did you see the underground fight with Nick Gurr? No, I didn't. I don't watch. Like. Yeah, hit the like button. Thank you. anyways, that's all that happened. And again, some other stuff was going on. They had some key promos from the 4 participants in the 4-way match coming up at Double or Nothing for the AEW World Title. Also, Christian Cage came out and did a nasty heel promo on Wardlow and Arn Anderson, talking a lot about how a lot of the AEW wrestlers have quote unquote daddy issues. So again, we're gonna see how things play out. I mean, there's still about 2.5 weeks left till Double or Nothing on Sunday the 28th. So we'll see what more gets signed over the next week or so. With that, we're gonna turn our attention now to Impact Wrestling, as they also are preparing for their next pay-per-view, which will be coming up Friday, the 26th. You already have signed for that match. You have Steve Maclin defending the Impact World Championship against PCO, Perfect Creation 1. Many people know him as Pierre Carl Ouellet, who 30 years ago, now for those of you who don't recognize Pierre Carl Ouellet, you might remember him back in the 90s. That's right, the 90s, 30 years ago, as one half of the Quebecers / Amazing French Canadian Tag Teams with Jacques Rougeau. They were 2-time WWF World Tag Team Champions, and then, of course, they took their act to WCW in the later 90s as well. Well, PCO, Perfect Creation 1, Pierre Carl Ouellet is still active. He's the modern age. He's this generation's Terry Funk, to say the least. The slight difference is Terry Funk started out as a technical wrestler, and then gradually evolved into more of a hardcore wrestler. But basically, Ouellet has always been kind of a hardcore / roughneck type wrestler. So, but with that, also on it's the Under Siege event in London, Ontario, Canada, as I recall. Other 2 matches have already been signed, I believe, are Deonna Purrazzo will be defending the she'll be defending the London, Ontario, Canada, the Williams Fair Western Fair District Agriplex. Actually, some more matches have been signed. So Deonna Purrazzo will be defending Jordan Grace will be taking her on defending the Knockout World Title match. If Jordan Grace does not win the title here, she will not get another title shot against while Deonna Purrazzo still holds the title. So Deonna Purrazzo defends the title, defends at Under Siege, defends the Knockouts World Title against Jordan Grace. If Jordan Grace doesn't win the title here, she will not get another shot while Purrazzo is still champion during this run. In a match that was set up a few weeks ago, Trey Miguel will be defending the X Division title against Chris Sabin after Miguel took a pinfall loss to Sabin in a 6-man tag match, pitting Sabin and his partners in the Time Splitters of Alex Shelley and Kushida against Miguel, Mike Bailey, and Jonathan Gresham. who Miguel, of course, defeated the other at Sacrifice at the Sacrifice pay-per-view. In a world title number one contenders six-way match, the participants include Alex Shelley, Frankie Kazarian, Eddie Edwards, Jonathan Gresham, Moose, and Yuya Uemura. They've also signed a six-man tag match in which the members of the Design of Angels, Diener, and Cone will be taking on Sami Callihan and two partners of his choosing. And Trinity will be, making her in-ring debut at Under Siege as well. So that's all that's going on, at least for their pay-per-view coming up at the end of the month. On tonight's Impact, of course, we'll get to that in a moment here. On tonight's Impact, did I get to? Why did I do that? I can just do here first. See, on tonight's Impact, the Impact Knockouts tag team champions, the Coven, Kylan King and Taylor Wilde, will be defending against the two opponents for the Impact World Heavyweight Championship of Grace and Perazo tonight on Impact. Also, Steve Macklin defends the Impact World title against Rhino. You got a team known as the Good Hands of Jason Hotch and John Schuyler taking on the team of Decay, Black Taurus, and Crazy Steve. Nick Aldis makes his in-ring return to Impact, taking on Sheldon Jean, and then opening up the night in a bit of a interesting matchup. Killer Kelly will be taking on Masha Slamovich. So that's all that's going on tonight from Impact, and then on before the Impact, which is the pre-show, which you can catch on YouTube. The match for that tonight. Getting into it, Ace Austin, who will have Chris Bay in his corner, will be taking on Zicky Dice, who has Johnny Swinger in his corner. So there we go with that, guys. All of the wrestling news I got for you. So let's see, what time is it now? It's 47, so it's probably a good time to start winding down then. So today being Thursday, May the 11th, 2023, let's take a look back at this day in each history. So let me just double check some things here. 1993, 98, and 2008. Okay. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look back at this day in each history. So first off, we're going to head back 30 years ago today, as on this date, 30 years ago today, the 10th issue of Spawn from Image Comics went on sale on this date 30 years ago today. Spawn, of course, which is still running to this very day. The 10th issue of that book went on sale on this date 30 years ago today. The title of the story was Crossing Over, written by Dave Sim, art by Todd McFarlane, lettering done by Tom Olzakowski, and colored by Stevie Olaf and Ruben Rude. So on this date, 30 years ago today, the 10th issue of Spawn went on sale on newsstands. So, anyways, getting ready to move along to the next piece of niche history. As on this date, 25 years ago today, in the Go Home Nitro before, I believe it was Slamboree, WCW Slamboree, WCW held its Monday Nitro event from the Kemper Arena in Kansas City, Missouri. The main event saw Randy Savage defeat Hollywood Hogan via DQ in a WCW World Heavyweight title match. You also saw Fit Finlay retain the WCW television title over Chaos, one half of the Wrecking Crew. Goldberg retained retained the United States heavyweight title in just under a minute over Len Denton. Len Denton, who many of you might know from the Independent, I believe he's the guy. Let's see, just need to see something here. Oh yeah, he's wrestled. He would wrestle as the Grappler and Dirty White Boy #2. Um, but anyways, so yeah, so among some of the other things with us, on some of the other matches on the night, also saw Chris Benoit defeat Booker T, Glacier defeat Sick Boy, DDP defeat Lenny Lane, Ultimo Dragon defeated the aforementioned Johnny Swinger back in his younger days, obviously. Hugh Morris defeated Jim Powers in 27 seconds. Scott Norton defeated Yuji Nagata in a minute 49, who had Sonny Ono in his corner. And then to open up the night, Disco Inferno defeated Barry Horowitz. So there we go with that one. So that happened 25 years ago today. And then 15 years ago today, the passing of Dick Sutcliffe passed away at the age of 90 on this date 15 years ago. He was an American animator and one of the creators of the 1960s stop motion religious series. So for those of you who might have seen the Davy and Goliath, which is a kind of a stop motion type animated feature, I know for a while that was on CBN and TBN, Trinity Broadcasting Network, Christian Broadcasting Network. This is one of the guys who created it. He created it along with Gumby creators Art and Ruth Cloakley, Art Cloakey and Ruth Cloakey Goodall. So passed away on this date 15 years ago, back in 2008, from complications of a stroke. He was 90 years old. So there we go with that one. All right, guys. Well, I thank everybody for being here tonight. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. We'll be back here tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, of course, I'll have the Metal from Vomitorium with me, as we will be looking back to comics that went on sale in October of 1939. We'll be looking over the books that went on sale from Centaur Publications, including, of course, Amazing Man Comics, Amazing Mystery Funny. So among features we'll be looking at, of course, include Amazing Man, Speed Centaur, Dean Denton's Scientective, and Arrow. So hope everybody will be back here tomorrow night as we're reading through those, learning more about comics history, and also be back Sunday night for our panel show. With that, guys, I thank you all for being here, and I hope you guys have a good night. I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.